welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Irimide, and yes, today we are speaking on something that has been trending in Nigeria for a while. It's not a new topic per se, but I feel like people have come to enlightenment on what it is. So now let's get right into it. Yeah, so today we'll be discussing GMO. Yes, what is GMO? GMO has been all over TikTok in Nigeria, Twitter in Nigeria, and last week it was trending heavily on Instagram too. So yes, now let's discuss GMO. Briefly discuss GMO, what it is and what it is not. It's important to note that my YouTube channel circulates around international relations, so I cannot discuss GMO from a scientific perspective. Only from I'm talking about GMO from the perspective of relations amongst nations and what it might eventually result in from my understanding. Okay, so yes, let's get into it and let's endeavor to pick one or two. Yes. So aside discussing what GMO is and what GMO is not, okay, so I'm going to give two definitions on what GMO is. One is according to what is written on the web, and the other one is in simpler terms, in layman terms, that is easier to comprehend. So now let's get into it. GMO, according to what I saw on the web, refers to genetically modified organisms. So you're basically saying organism whose gene has been engineered in the laboratory in order to favor the expression of desired traits. Or you're going to say the generation of desired biological products, which can be found in conventional livestock production, crop farming, and even pet breeding. So now, to the simpler terms, which is easier to comprehend, I wrote this in my notepad. In simpler terms, GMO is when scientists take a gene from one plant, animal, or other organism and put it into another, so the new one can last longer, stay fresh, or survive tough environmental conditions. For instance, when we're talking about tough environmental conditions, it's like we're talking droughts, because it's not possible for certain crops or produce to actually grow in that kind of environment. So that is when GMO comes into place. So yeah, let's get into what exactly we need to discuss, which is how GMO would affect Nigeria or Africa in the long run. What it seems like from my understanding, from my perspective, what I perceive it to be. So now let's get straight into it. So I came across several interesting debates on TikTok, and I had to screenshot a few, because in as much as GMO plays a pivotal role in modern crop cultivation and agricultural announcement, it's important to know that it would have its own negative effect. Because, for instance, look at it. Africa, Nigeria to be precise, has a very, very vast land space. It has a strong soil. It is rich in resources, and honestly, except for Sahel areas that crops might not really be able to like grow, every other state in Nigeria has the ability to actually develop these things without GMO. But bringing GMO fully into the system has its own negative benefits. Because one thing I wrote down is that it seems to actually be like the patenting, the people that actually produce that release the seeds in the form of sales actually want to shift Africa back under Western system, because you're about to control Africa's agriculture if you're going to actually fully put us under the GMO body and ideology. So the very first comment I would actually be discussing is quite touchy, because it's beyond agriculture. It discusses the loss of lives, but having to link it with GMO is quite alarming, but it's also debatable. So the person said the things that happen in Benue State and other parts of Nigeria is not ordinary. The killing of farmers and the burning of farms is not just about land or clash. It's a bigger agenda that people do not really see. Because if they destroy local farmers and their seeds, it's easy to push the GMO ideology and imported foods that will come into the system. And these big companies would actually have their own benefits, and the government will also have their own foreign interests. So that's what the person said, and it was interesting, because it's important to say that note that Benue is actually the food basket of the nation. So most of our farm produce, most of the still indigenous farmers in 2025 are majorly rooted in Benue State. And if you're going to eradicate the farmers in Benue State, which has happened quite a number of times this year, and the strategy that has been said, what has been said that happened was actually what do you call them, UGM, or let's say herdsmen. So that's what was stated that happened. But this person bringing out, proposing this hypothesis, stating that it is possibly the government's strategy to eradicate local farmers. So we would have no choice than to actually depend on GMO, knowing fully well that the world is developing, Nigeria to be precise is developing, and most people are not interested in farming or anything that has to be localized. People are involving themselves more in tech and more modern practices than local acts or practices. And it's quite fascinating. The most interesting thing about this GMO thing is that certain countries in Europe do not really approve of it. They approve of it for animal livestock, for animal feed, but not for human consumption. And also, certain countries in Africa too have already rejected GMO. But why is Nigeria embracing it? What is the real plan in embracing GMO? It's important to say GMO is not even new into the system. GMO has been here for a long time. As long as you're eating broiler chicken, you've used insulin, I think, because GMO is not just in your food; it's also in your medicine and several other things. So it's important to know that it's not a new thing, but Nigerians have come to the knowledge of, oh, we have GMO in our system now. For me, I feel the most fascinating thing about this GMO to me is the idea of having to purchase seeds every season from the patent. Meaning, when I say patent, I'm talking about the seed suppliers, the ones in charge that control the seeds. Because first things first, before GMO came fully into our system, um, we had our ways, we had our pattern of storing and keeping the seeds for each season. But now that we are going to be limited to replanting the seeds, which is impossible. So in cases whereby we don't have the financial resources to actually purchase the seeds, what is our fate? There is no food that season definitely for us. But we have our ways of doing these things. And if the reason why they're bringing GMO into our system fully, the agricultural sector, is as a result of irrigation access, cold chain logistics, or our inability to control our pests in certain from raging our crops in certain areas, they should probably like teach us certain ways to do it rather than giving us something that will eventually not benefit us. Because definitely, once you can control our food import exports, you're controlling our system because food is definitely important to life. Food is very important. So I feel like eventually, GMO and the patenting owners would eventually put Nigeria under them, and we would have no choice than to go back under the Western system fully, them controlling Nigeria fully. So I came across several comments on TikTok. The first one said, "Why is perishable food not perishing?" The reason why perishable food is not perishing is because it has a new biological trait in it that actually prevents it from perishing like it should. Somebody said she cut open an apple some days ago and it didn't turn brown like it should. Now you know why. Um, Someone said she bought a fruit yesterday and it did not have seed. I have no answer to that, but now we know GMO is possibly involved. Someone said avoid broiler chickens. How far can you run, really? Because ever since I was a kid, let's say more than 15 years now, I've been hearing, oh, certain chickens, they inject them, certain chickens, they do this, certain chickens, they do that. It's important to know that these chickens are not even injected, it is their feed, what they actually digest. It is what GMO is actually what GMO is infiltrated into their feed, but not. I don't think it is them directly, from what I understand and from what I read also. So I think we should chill. Yes, GMO crops are said to fight hunger, resist drought, boost farm yields, help African farmers thrive. But is that the full history? Doesn't seem like it, because if you say GMO is going to help African farmers thrive, it's more like GMO is going to kick out African farmers, because this is what they used to do. This is, they have their system, they have their ways of preserving this fruit, this produce from drought. They prepare for each season. They are conscious of it already. If there's anything you need to do is to give them the right machineries, right instruments in order to make their work easier, not give them seeds that they cannot replant again, and then they have to save money. How much can we actually get to be able to purchase seeds every season, when we know we could have our own seeds and store them for the next season and plant them? It's quite crazy. Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like they just want to shift Africa back under a Western system wherein they own Africa's agriculture. Because if the EU can actually ban certain GMO maize consumption for direct human use, but you're selling it for animal feed and also you're exporting it to developing nations, that's quite absurd. It's also stated that the Western nations view Africa as a low resistance testing ground for agricultural products that they can't easily push in their own countries. It makes me question, why is Bill Gates not doing it where he's coming from? Why is it Africa? Why is it Nigeria? I saw another thing about a particular, is it drug or injection that is trying to propose. It's about fertility and well, if you use it, your choice. So yeah, it's just important to know that GMO has its benefits, and of course it has its own negative side effects. Because with everything that is a yes, there's definitely some part. I mean, with everything that has a positive, there has to be some negative, some nays there. So in as much as we try to embrace GMO, consider the side effects on your health, which I cannot discuss because I have not much knowledge on it. But yep, thank you for watching my videos. Love and light always. Bye.